Hello and welcome to another episode of A Ghost in the Magazine. I'm Steph.
And I'm Jer, and it's week 3 of Xenomonth, and we are talking about Aliens 2 because Steph covered Alien without me a long time ago.
Listen, I have many regrets about that. So here we are.
Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it.
No, we don't gotta talk about it. We don't
So,
gotta talk about it.
first off, Xenomorphs aren't the bodies of this film. Won't be having it. You know who is the body?
Dudes.
Fucking capitalism. That's why I'm upset Elle's not here.
I mean, I was upset in the last one that she wasn't there for the Fassbender kissing. So like we have our things.
We do. We know our Elle. She would enjoy these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, we do. So my thing is
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of this movie scares the absolute dog shit out of me because, we talked in the last episode about how the hypersleep is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this bitch was in hypersleep for 57 motherfucking years, and they just happened to find her floating in space. A 1 in a million chance, and they find my girl.
And she would have
She's
still been
blessed.
floating out there,
Like, how long? Like, how long does hypersleep just like protect you? Like, how long? And
as
how long would
long as the
those?
batteries are running.
That's got to be some like insane batteries to last 57 years. Can I get some?
Can I can I get an F in the chat? Um, no. Jesus, Steph. I just got what you said. Fuck's sake. Um,
I didn't
no,
even finish.
they use solar panels. That's what the colonists used in Covenant. That's what's on the outside of the ship is solar panels. That's powering the ships.
But like, I guess I don't have a concept of space geography. I barely have a concept of like regular geography and very directionally challenged. Where's the sun?
It's
Are
behind
they
you.
in this solar system?
Um, no, they were floating through. Ripley was floating through the core worlds. So Wayland Yutani are like a colonist company. Their tagline is making better worlds.
Ugh.
Yeah, like they're the ones that set up the colonies. It's all capitalism. Like, and the reason they're doing it is because Earth's overcrowded because we are a rampant fucking population. This was in 1986. This was made, so like they were concerned about like scarcity of resources, about booms in population growth in 1986.
They would shit themselves now.
We have 8 billion humans.
And I'm still single.
Same though.
Moving along.
Moving on. What did you think about the fact that this very much like the first Alien, and I think it's because of the time period it was made in. There's a lot of rampant sexism throughout
Yeah.
the films.
Yeah, that's my first thing that I want to talk about actually. Because it pisses me off. And I so okay, yeah, Covenant pissed me off too. This pissed me off because, like I just said, my girl's been in space for 57 years, okay? And then the first thing that she's subjected to is a board of crusty old white men who are trying to tell her that she didn't see what she
Mm-hmm.
saw. And instead of talking to her about how much the fucking ship costs, fuck you. Fuck you. In all capitals. And then they're like side-eyeing her, like, bitch, you're Delulu. You're on
Mm-hmm.
your period. I would set that boardroom on fire.
Oh no, it's Burke and the lieutenant, I believe, showing up at her apartment while she's like in a dressing gown or like a bathing
With her cat.
with her cat and smoking, and he's like, "Come on, kiddo, it's time to get back out there." It's like, "Fuck you, Burke. Fuck
I
you."
literally, in my notes, in all capitals, I said the nerve, the gall, the audacity, and the caucasity to call her kiddo. Suck my dick. You can't keep yourself alive for nothing. Okay? And you're a liar and a Yike.
And the first lines he says when he meets Ripley are, "I work for the company, but don't worry, I'm not a bad guy."
And literally definition of I'm a fucking bad guy. I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. That guy, ooh, the way I want to like push him down on the playground and like rub his face in some fucking dirt and rocks. I hate Burke.
You know, the thing is, he looks like Christian Slater in Interview with a Vampire.
He does. He
Yeah,
does. But we like Christian Slater in
we
Interview with
do.
the Vampire. We
We
don't
do.
like this fucking guy. This guy
No,
sucks.
no, we don't. Because the first Alien was like, stranded in space.
Mm,
The other two that we talk about this month are
I'm getting prickly.
Religious and Aliens 3, which we'll get to, is a fucking mess. Uh, this takes on a very different tone because I think it's supposed to show the issues with having like a military industrial complex
Mm,
because you have
okay.
the company, like the people in the boardroom, completely ignoring Ripley and the good advice, just wanting this creature for their R&D department. And then you also have the grunts going in and doing the groundwork, the Marines. You have men up the ladder like the lieutenant, like Burke, who are trying to be in charge of the situation, but they won't get their hands dirty. Like,
They have they don't know anything. I was screaming at the TV because of course they ignore all of her fucking first-hand knowledge and advice. She knows what she's talking about, okay? Just because it
mhm.
wasn't recorded doesn't mean shit. And like that old white bitch telling her like you didn't record shit. Fuck you, Suzanne. What would you do? Hit it with your purse? What? Hello? Is anybody home? That, and then when they're up there, okay, and they're doing the things, and the I don't know, military grown-ups,
Industrial.
I guess the guy in charge, who is
Lieutenant.
he?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, the lieutenant gives them a direct order, and Ripley's like, hey, they will explode themselves if they do that. He doesn't know that.
He
He doesn't know
doesn't know.
anything.
And he doesn't know that, and then he doesn't explain it. He just tells them to do it, and he expects it to be followed. If you explain, hey, if you shoot, we're all going to die, they would have happily handed over. And the problem is,
Right.
these men just expect authority to be like that. They don't
Mm.
like. They try to put their will on nature, like with the xenomorphs and Burke, or the face huggers and Burke. Or with the lieutenant and the grunts, like lower life forms. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And both of them are usurped by like the strongest force of nature out there, which is Ellen Ripley, otherwise known as fucking
My baby mama.
women. Women, women are the strongest force in nature, especially
Women.
mothers is the whole like the showdown of this is basically two mothers going at it. You have the brood mother or the queenomorph. Uh, the
You have to stop doing
queenomorph,
that when I'm drinking water. Not the queenomorph.
the queenomorph versus Ripley, and it comes down to protecting their child. Like
Yeah.
Ripley threatened to like flame down all the eggs, and the queenomorph was just like, okay, don't attack,
Let
just let her go, just let her go. And it's
don't talk
only
about the
because
end
she
yet.
started to come for her children that the queenomorph went for her.
My babies, my babies.
David wouldn't do that.
Okay, fuck David. All right. That's fuck David. Okay.
um, I did a first for this podcast. I read a academic paper about motherhood in Aliens. I only have one quote I want to read for you because I think it's
Okay.
important when we're talking about humans being like an invasive species or colonizers. And
Damn.
yeah, no, but like so the people that wrote this, Unison Ostrander suggests that the Queen of Morph represents mindless motherhood reproduction for the sake of reproduction. She's just sitting there popping out eggs, and
with
she
that
doesn't do
gross tube.
anything. Yeah, she doesn't do anything else. This is overpopulation. Like, they have run out of the resources of people to have more xenomorphs. They don't even have food for the xenomorphs. It's interesting in terms of, like, it's a narrative about overpopulation, but it's also a narrative about revenge of those who've been colonized, because the aliens were from this planet and the colonizers showed up and the aliens retook it. And also, like, in the same sense, you have the Marines talking whenever they're like flying out there, talking about liberating colonist daughter virginities. Like, this is
I don't
a
like that.
no, nor do I. It's this whole thing. It's about colonization of planets, but it's also colonization of the body. Because apart from like the face huggers and the chest bursters, you have these Marines threatening to like essentially sexually assault colonists and talking down because they're civilians, because they are farmers, because they're lower life forms again. And eventually it's the
Okay.
lower life forms that fucking kill every single one of them.
Yeah, recurring themes in the Alien franchise. Motherhood and colonization in all of its forms. Cute.
Absolutely.
Also also men who lie.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna say that's just capitalism.
Okay, but like
That
yeah, it
human
is, but
lives are
like
human lives are expendable, but products aren't.
I just think it's psychotic. Like Ripley, God, I hate Burke. Like I hate Burke so much.
You know, you know what's worse? He looks like he should be in Jurassic Park. Like, he's got this check shirt on and then this little like body warmer. Go fuck yourself, Burke.
Stop. I still have trauma from being a Jurassic Park ranger at Universal. Once upon a time I looked like that too. So when they bust this mission
Mhm.
and they're looking for the colonists, first of all, I was pissed. I was just really pissed off in the whole beginning of this movie because they get my girl out of space, they patronize her, then he fucking lies to her, and she's like, "Promise me we're gonna exterminate these hoes," and he's like, "You got my word." We're gonna do exactly what you want. And like she's been traumatized. Her body, her spirit, her mind have been through a lot, like a lot. Okay. You
Mhm.
don't just experience and survive an alien race on a daily basis. Like just the regular colonization mission, that's a lot. Busting a space
Mhm.
mission, that's a lot. Okay. And he has just no regard for her. So that pisses me off. The other thing that pissed me off is that the board member guy was like so like haughty in her face, like we don't have to listen to what you're saying because we've had people out there for 20 years, honey, like we know what we're talking about. Boom,
Mhm.
surprise the next day or whatever. We can't find them. We can't find them.
Help!
Surprise.
Help!
Please help me. Can you please just, you know, pack up your trauma, bring it with you. We're gonna slap somewhere on top of that hoe. So when they're out there in space, this is ridiculous what I'm about to say to you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. They find one of the colonizers like fucking glued to the wall, right? Slime glued
Mhm.
to the wall, and they're like, "Oh, we have a live one." Do you have any idea what this? All I could think of when I see this, there's this episode of Adventure Time where there's like a weird deer, and he's like licking the candy people and sticking them to the wall, and I hate his hands. Oh, that's this.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It,
Ew.
it's like it looks exactly like xenomorphs, these tunnels, but it's just their spit. It's like how,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's disgusting. Like, just fucking kill me. I don't want to be spit stuck to a wall and have your eggs in
Mhm.
my body. Just fucking kill me. Just kill
Well,
me.
well, that's what your main man Hicks promised to do to Ripley. And then they have that little montage. Well, not montage, they have that little scene where he's like holding around her, showing her how to hold the gun. And I
I
guarantee you were sweating during that scene.
I was so not straight in this entire scene. I was just like, why are they so fine though? Like, and everybody's like sweaty and sexy except for Bill Paxton and his fucking teeth. And I just hope they're fake. I hope those teeth weren't real.
Bill Paxton,
Is a crybaby bitch.
who is
Oh, sorry, that was so rude.
no, who's
Hudson.
Bill Paxton? Huh?
Hudson.
Oh, Hudson. Okay, because I was like,
Yeah.
are you about to talk shit about Bishop? Because I'm not having it.
Oh, there's no Bishop slander on this episode. Bill
Bishop is
Paxton
they.
was Hudson was freaking out every 5 minutes about everything. He was the negative Nancy.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the hotties of the ship, shall we?
Yes,
Um
Vasquez, who I wanted to bring her up because she is that fiery Latina trope. You know, she's hot-blooded and confrontational, and
she's
she doesn't.
spicy, she's ripped.
Yeah, and she doesn't fit into the storyline we have here about mothers, this narrative about women. But that's because she is treated as masculine throughout it. Like one of the Marines asks
Yeah.
her, "Are you a man? Have you ever tried
She
being a
said, "Have you
man?"
ever been mistaken for a man?" And she said,
Yes.
"No, have you?" And then they all lose their shit, and she's slapping them in the face, and they're like, "Mommy, please."
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
They,
she's still up.
I know it's 1980, not or 86, but they could have done without the stereotypes. Like
Yeah,
they can write strong female characters who aren't like two-dimensional representations of a a nationality or like you know strong women.
they can. They opted out,
They
but
did.
they do great work with Ripley because
They do.
she has. I mean, Vasquez comes out there fucking, jacked to shit, and Ripley never. I mean, like she's slender, she has short hair. People really underestimate her, and she holds her own. I think she's a super great
Mhm.
character. I wished that her and Hicks were endgame and that they just raised Newt and I could just, be happy forever, but we're not going to talk about Aliens 3.
We are not talking
Uh,
about Aliens 3, no. But we
no.
can talk about not the okay, so we're stepping away from the hotties of the ship because I was just
Yeah,
about to
that's enough.
I was about to talk about Newt, and I don't want hottie being the word we think about when we talk about
No,
Newt.
she's a precious baby angel.
She is, yes. And what sort of a name is Newt? I love it. And Ripley immediately takes to being like a surrogate mother for her, which I love.
I love that so much. And like, a lot of times I find kids in movies like super annoying, but
I
she is like so resourceful and headstrong,
Mhm.
and oh, she's an incredible child. She really is. I love that. And I'm not a mom, but I feel like I'd be the same way. But can we talk about how fucking strong? Like, you want to talk? We were just talking about how Ripley doesn't have like visible muscles. She's not a
Mhm.
muscle mommy. But the way that she was running through this ship, carrying Newt, kids are heavy. Babies, if you carry them for
Mhm.
too long, are heavy. And this is a child, right? Meanwhile, everybody's sweating. There's no fucking AC in this bitch. And she's just booking it with Newt in tow. Ripley for president.
Ripley, I would vote for, you know
So
what,
hard.
Sigourney Weaver 2024.
Yeah, oh, period. I would vote for her. I mean, like, I'd be like, can you do the Ghostbusters voice? Can you please?
um, yeah, no, Newt is incredibly resourceful, and it's really sweet, because at the end, whenever the Queen of Morph is thrown out of the ship, and
Is screaming, by the way.
screaming and thrown out of the ship, and Ripley picks up Newt. Newt says, "Mommy."
Just
I
fuck me up
mean,
this morning.
I mean, same Newt, but like,
Literally. I'm sorry. I just so good. This movie is really good. Like it's
It
really good.
is.
I didn't have a lot of the same anger that I had in Covenant.
The
The
pacing's a lot
aliens,
better. Like you have a lot more
this
action.
one's, and it's funny because I need that because this movie's 2.5 hours
Hmm.
almost. And there was not, I mean, they didn't have to make it so goddamn long, but I wasn't angry about the pacing, and I kind of like drift off a little at the end, but that's because I watched it this morning and I was still tired. I watched it like as soon as my eyes opened. Um, but it's very good, and like I
Hmm.
gotta tell you, like I have claustrophobia, and you know, when they were trying to figure out what to do, and Bishop was like, "Well, I'll crawl through the tube."
Oh yeah,
I
that
couldn't even
was.
fucking
Mm-mm,
breathe because I'm like
mm-mm,
40 minutes. He may be synthetic, but I feel for my brother. Okay,
mhm.
40 minutes crawling through a dark ass tube with no ventilation. Okay, and no guarantee that like an alien mommy's not gonna pop out at the other side and like rip you in half.
And then he did get ripped in half,
He
which is
did.
like the prosthetic work on that is
So
fantastic.
good. It's so good, and it's so nasty. I don't know why the like the robot insides, even though it's all white, are like almost grosser than the people insides. And it got in her mouth. Like she's
Yeah,
like, ah, and it's
yeah. It's
love it.
again, like I remember you asked me what you should look out for in Alien, and I was talking to you about like all the all the imagery of like genitalia, but
Yeah.
the white inside the androids is like, yeah.
Okay, but I'm glad you said that because I totally forgot. When they first enter that room and realize that like there are like specimens in there, the inside that was like sucking onto the glass
Mhm.
is a clit.
Don't roll your eyes when you said that.
It's a clit. Like
I told
it's
you, like you were like when you watched
that's
Alien, you were like, "Oh, face huggers, they're very, phallic like," and I was like, "No, they
yes.
are vaginas."
Dripping. But I haven't watched Alien since I covered it for the podcast. I
Yeah.
should have rewatched it, and I probably will at some point, but like I could not believe the coochie sucking on the glass. I was like, well, heyo.
Yeah, yeah, it's you know who doesn't ask consent? Face huggers.
They sure don't. They sure don't. And if you manage to get one off, you die.
Well, they got one off Ripley.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't fully in her mouth,
Mm,
though.
No, no, it wasn't. It was just choking
No.
her out.
All
Yeah.
right, I want to talk about that scene. I
Okay.
want to talk about that scene. Okay. After Ripley and Hicks have their romantic gun learning in the dark.
Yeah.
I fuck with that. I love that. Okay. So she goes to find, she's like, all right, I'm set. She goes to find Newt and she finds her sleeping under the bed. And she's like, let me just lay under here with my girl. And they take a nice nap, only to discover that strange things are afoot. Burke fucking took the gun out, locked them in there with two face huggers so that they could lay eggs in there and that they could be passengers for alien babies. That's
Hmm.
so fucked up. That's so fucked up. It
Yeah.
pisses me off.
Because he knows if he goes back there, because he's a company man, if he goes back and they're like, yeah, we can't salvage the colony, they're going to take it out on him. So he's like, this will be
Yeah,
my
that's
insurance.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an expensive loss, my guy.
Um,
I hate him. He's
and
so
again,
greedy.
he doesn't do it himself. He won't do it himself. He like leaves the door locked, takes the gun out, and like can't even look at Ripley while she's being attacked. He turns off the monitor.
Like a
They're
scumbag bitch.
pathetic men. Him and the lieutenant. The lieutenant's called Gorman. The only redeeming thing he did was like him and Vasquez blowing up 50 xenomorphs.
That was really good. I really liked the whole ending of this movie. It was fucking
Mm-hmm.
wild. When they do the big mommy reveal, like
Because the music cuts out, there is no sound except for this thing like breathing.
I would literally shit my pants and then just die. Like I would just die. I don't know how she could make it through all of this running with a kid while it's hot and there's explosions going on. Like my ADHD could never.
I'm
My
carrying
little
a big ass gun tied to a flamethrower as well.
yes, yeah. When she threatens those eggs, I can't.
Hmm.
But I was super grossed out when it showed the eggs being laid because that giant like butthole tube.
You know what it is? Since you mentioned Futurama a while ago, it's Slurp. You remember, like, yeah, Slurp comes out of like a queen's slug's butthole. That is
I
exactly
haven't
what's happening here.
I'm nauseous. I haven't eaten yet today. Not just
And you know the worst of it? The worst of it?
Hmm.
Knowing that that queen is like Michael Fassbender's great granddaughter.
He deserves it. I loved how they had this stare down and Ripley was like, you take one move and I'm roasting your babies. I'm a roast
Yeah,
those.
like I said, it's two mothers facing off against one another,
Mhm.
and neither of them will take the first step because they're afraid for their children.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Um, damn, this is a good movie. This
It's
is
so
actually
good.
this is probably my favorite of the aliens. Like I love Prometheus. Prometheus is I like it, but this is the best.
If I had to choose, I would probably choose this one because, like, you know,
Even without William Hurt.
yeah, we don't need him.
Hello, William Hurt. We
Hey,
don't slander William Hurt. We don't
I
slander
didn't
the ship.
slander him. I just said he wasn't a necessity, obviously, because you chose this one. So,
Mhm. Oh, something you might be interested in is that all the synthetics throughout the series,
yeah,
up until Walter, they all were named like alphabetically for each film. Yeah, so you have Bishop in
interesting.
two, you have some, I can't remember the one from Resurrection,
Curtis.
Curtis,
And then
David. And then Walter came in, was like, no,
David.
fuck your history.
Yeah, fuck your family line. You know what I was really surprised about in this movie? I bet you can't guess. I bet you can't. I bet you can't.
Hmm. 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 Were you surprised about the fact that they have to strip down to their underwear to sleep in the cryopods?
No, I actually I wasn't surprised because like, when you go to sleep, you put on your comfies. I am surprised about though is that the lift was working while all this shit was exploding
Oh,
around them.
fuck. And that the Queenomorph could like call
Okay.
the lift as well.
Okay. Okay. So my heart fell into my butthole when they got up to the landing and there was no ship. And then it exited my body when the lift opens and the mommy was there and I was like, no.
And then it went back in your body when they left. And then the second like Bishop gets like peeled through his body.
That was a lot for me emotionally.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, and ripped him in half. But
Favorite line from this whole thing, Steph? What is it?
oh, she's the OG. Get away from her, you bitch. I was like,
Yeah.
yay. That's right.
In her big like walker mech that looks like it's
I
from the
love that.
Matrix.
I I literally said that at some point. Oh, these bitches think they're in the Matrix or something stupid. But I liked that scene because Ripley and we have the same mentality. They brought her in as sort of like an advisor, as
Mhm.
Vasquez said, or whoever. And she was like, I feel a little useless. Can I do anything? And they're like, well, I don't know. Can you do anything? And I feel like that's when Hicks first was like, hot damn, my soulmate.
So
And she was like, well, I can drive that thing.
the like platoon leader, the guy who wakes up and immediately puts a cigar in his mouth, he was the inspiration for, I believe his name is Jones from the Halo games.
Well, that's cool as fuck. He's a
Mhm.
cool guy.
That
Isla.
is our concise review of Aliens 3. Now we are in the end game, and it's always darkest before the dawn.
Jeez.
We
No, this
have
is
to
the end for me.
talk
Okay.
about Aliens 3 next week.
I'm not doing it. I'm getting off the boat here.
You're staying on the ship and we're going down to the surface.
You can find this podcast on the interweb at ghostinthemagazine.site or on Twitter at GITM Podcast. And you can find me on Twitter at WitchXPudding.
And you can find me at J. Rafferty Poet.
Okay, bye.